That brings us to item 10.2. I don't know if anybody's excited about that.
Mayor Dave, yeah.
Michael Minoski, you are first.
What is right about this plan? It's astonishing. And in addition, how much are these guys, the kids, going to have to pay to get on there if the city's net revenue for the complex is in the red by over $2.6 million?
Okay, Paul Lindsay, yeah, you're up. And
I had a prepared statement, but there was a comment made by staff earlier that just blew me away, and I'm kind of in a fog here. When I re-reviewed the staff report this morning at 9:30, the low-end estimate was $40 million. Tonight it's $46 million. That's a 15% inflation in less than 11 hours. So if it's going to inflate by 15% every 11 hours, I can't imagine what the real cost is going to be down the road. The staff's report was pretty clear on one point, and it was interesting that they didn't bring it up tonight. The combination of delayed debt service through capitalized interest and the aggressive ramp-up of payments make this an atypical transaction that carries more risk than normal bond measures. More risk. We're selling our future for this project. I've got to think that the only equitable way to finance this is through user fees.
My name is Andrew Donnery. I'm the CEO of Elk Grove Soccer. We are not just a membership of one or two or even three. We're a membership of 6,500 registered players. That's how many players we register on a yearly basis. That gives us 13,000 parents. Add that to the 26,000 grandparents that we have. Gives us an estimated 40,000, 50,000 people that are indirectly connected to our organization. That is a third of the citizens that live in Elk Grove.
Lynn Wheat, and following Lynn Wheat, Suzanne Pecci is the...
I'm all for soccer fields for our young people. I think it's very important, but we have to consider at what cost. So if we look at Plan B, we're going to be providing the city, all of us that live in the city, a $9,500 subsidy for each soccer player. And so I've thought with the 1.8 that we're going to pull out of our reserves to even begin furthering this process, that with all this enthusiasm and dedication to it, maybe the people could put their money where their mouth and enthusiasm is, and the city could set up a GoFundMe. And we can get all of those that are really interested in this and believe in the long term that it's fiscally responsible to contribute so that we could get that 1.8 million as a city and not have to dip into our reserves.
You know, I think you're being sold sizzle by a bunch of soccer people. You know, we've all kind of bought sizzle from you guys on the mall and on the Civic Center, and we've never gotten a bite of the steak yet. And I'm just beginning to feel like maybe I'm feeling a lot of sizzle in this room, and I don't really see the steak. It's a lot of promises.
The economic driver part of this that's been laid out is huge. It's a huge economic driver for our community. So,
although back in the days of the ACOM study, they were promised to be revenue neutral. They are anything but that now. The aquatics complex was brought up. We're looking at a $6 million overrun on the aquatics complex with no clear path on how we're going to move forward on that and how we're going. Because to the idea that this is looking at a $2.7 million to $4.5 million annual subsidy, there's not even a modicum of fiscal responsibility in that concept. Mr. Donnery, was it, I believe? I appreciated your point about the numbers of people that this touches. If that was a veiled threat about voter response to my being up here, I would rather be voted out for standing for something than voted back for falling for something. And falling for this financial scenario, not a chance. I love scenario B, especially the $9.1 million community support facility. I also love mansions and Maseratis, but I live in a tract home in East Elk Grove and drive a Ford F-150 because I can't afford mansions and Maseratis.
When we're talking about, as I mentioned before, potential negative of $4.5 million a year, to me, that's just not sustainable. I can't support a $4.5 million deficit every year and supplementing by future income. I just can't do that.
It's interesting because, Mr. Donnelly, when you were up here speaking and you were talking about how no one else has this type of facility, I started wondering why. And, you know, I'm looking at these costs and I'm wondering if that's why.
But there are ways to make this pencil.
I am certainly not in support of deficit spending.
You know, another potential scenario. I mean, as you look, I think what we do struggle with is that, okay, the soccer field estimate is coming in higher than what we originally thought. The aquatic center has come in higher than we originally thought. The senior center project is coming in way higher than we originally thought. The Veterans Hall is close. It's a little bit. I mean, we don't know for sure, right? We have a civic center project that's on the books but not funded. I think we're going to see, going to another cross section, right? We're going to see the public safety report come back and say we probably need some more officers. I mean, maybe it's time for us to have a conversation with the community about whether or not there's a stomach for, like Rancho Cordova just did, like Sacramento's done, and doing a small sales tax increase. And
to piggyback on that, when we're looking at all those fees, I can look at Richard Shepard from Public Works, and we're running $8 million a year deficit in the work that we are not doing on maintaining our roads here in Elk Grove. And truthfully, recreation is not a service of the city of Elk Grove. Recreation is the responsibility of the Consumer Service District.
Let the people vote and decide the importance of aquatics, soccer, road maintenance, a lot of different things.
We're behind the eight ball on a lot of different projects. And
Like we would have to do in a general obligation bond. I think if we're going to put this kind of debt on our community, if we make that decision to move forward, that has to be a vote of the people. I'm not going to make that decision for them, so.